It's been a battle here for me to try to maintain my money. I assume it's all the same with you guys. It drove me bananas because I
Well, I'm
was
not going to take
doing
it out.
things that I thought were reasonable, using a relatively small amount of money to invest in SQQQ to short the market. And I watched that investment fly up and down like 20% in a couple of days. And it was like somebody put out like a fake tweet that the Trump administration was going to do this, and we added $4 million to the market. And then he Truth Social, that was a lie. And then $3.5 million came out of the market, and everybody celebrated because stressful.
Even without the outside actors, the Trump administration themselves give mixed messages a couple times a day. They don't have a plan. They're just playing this shit by the seat of their pants, and they're doing it poorly. I feel like we're engaged in an economic warfare, but the people leading our army are incompetent. To watch them today talk about the GDP numbers and try to make it look like they're not bad, they're taking advantage of the finance. Yeah, it shrunk. Our economy has shrunk since Trump took over. And
wasn't the GDP numbers because everybody was rapidly importing a bunch more stuff?
So here's the problem with that. That is what they tell the financially illiterate. So what it is the GDP. I'm going to fuck this up, but I'll be close.
Okay.
It's like government spending plus consumer spending plus some investment plus exports minus imports. Okay, boom. Yeah. Why do they do that exports imports thing? Because that's already included in the spending numbers, right? So if I'm a consumer spending, right, take that number, but it's an imported good, then that doesn't get included in the GDP. So we know the consumer spending number, but we have to back out the imports. You with me? Right? So because if it's imported, it's not part of our
that sounds like a reasonable way to account for the money.
It is. So what the Trump administration wants to do is they're like, well, if we didn't have any imports, if we didn't include the minus sign on this, then it would be positive. And it's like, yes, but you fucking dipshit lying cocksucks are acting like imports should be part of the GDP. Yep. And you're taking advantage of the financially illiterate, people who never went to school for this, which, by the way, like, I empathize with them. I'm scientifically illiterate. If they tried to convince me that atoms and ions were the same thing and to ignore electrons, I'd be like, well, okay,
they might get me. Yeah,
right. I'm like, well, as a scientific illiterate, I understand where financial illiterates are coming from, but
Al, you're muted.
I'm economically literate, and I'm watching these liars on TV take advantage of the uneducated by saying, you know what, if we didn't back out imports, then this number would be better, which mathematically is true. But for anyone who cares about like what the GDP is, just admit you shit the bed. Just say, yeah, our GDP went down. These are the growing pains. We're trying to accomplish something long term.
We should triple everybody's rent. That'll dramatically increase GDP.
The AI landlord's already doing that.
There we go. I have a question for Woody, like financially related, that I was curious, like, because you know infinitely more about this than I do. And I know like the common wisdom is like, even when the stock market is fluctuating, goes down a bit, you don't take stuff out. Like you let it ride because it's going to go back up. Like you just let it ride. When or how would you know if it was like a cataclysm where you actually needed to sell and get like liquid?
It won't matter.
Like what? And see, that's what I've thought.
I already did all that. I already liquidated like half of my portfolio.
So like, when do you know to do that? Like, what's the indicator?
You're asking me how to time the market.
Yeah. Oh, you can't do that. There's no way to know for sure.
I can't do that. Not how to. He's talking about red zone bailout time. He's talking about jumping out right before the country falls apart.
You're talking about like the 2008 financial crash, right? Or the COVID crash.
Well, hold on, because Woody knows the most about this, so I want to ask him. So like, not necessarily like a country falling apart moment, but like in the Great Depression, like use that as an example. There was a point there where it was probably smart to get liquid. And how do you know?
I'm sorry, I'm not letting you finish.
No, go ahead.
I don't think you can know, right? If we would use a more recent example, let's talk about the housing crisis at the end of the W and the start of Obama, right? It would have been really nice to jump out in 2007 and jump back in like early 2008 and sort of catch that big drop. Historically, if you miss all the best days and you miss all the worst days, you've not done a good thing, right? You would rather have all the days than just miss the movers in both directions, because you want to catch the good stuff even more than you want to dodge the bad stuff. There are people who make money timing the market. I'm not one of them. Those guys live and breathe market. It's their hobby. They're more passionate about it than Kyle is Baldur's Gate. I think I'm a game behind, but work with me. Than I am about Elden Ring. These guys, they study it all day long. It's what they do every waking minute, and they try to time the market. Some of them do well, some of them don't. That's not me. S&P 500 beats 85% of the funds out there if you just stay in it historically. And I'm like, what am I trying to be in that 15?
Yeah,
consistently in that 15. I can't. No, I got.
How do these funds stay in business if they're getting fucking rolled?
If
by
you
the
are
S&P?
a hedge fund manager, let's take 2 hedge fund managers. One of them is really good at timing the market, and the other is a really good salesman. The salesman will make more money than that other guy every day of the week, right? That's how they do it. They convince people to invest with me. And if their fund underperforms the S&P 500 for a period of time, they shut down that fund and they start a new one with a clean track record and say, this time invest with me.
Are there any virtual funds? And what I want to create is an aggregate of what multiple members of Congress are doing. Obviously, we'd have a delay.
There's
a dollar sign Cruz, dollar sign Pelosi. I think they're trying to build one for Marjorie Green.
I mean, 4% Treasury and the rest.
What sort of retard is going with MTG when
she's Pelosi's
the
one. You're misinformed. Pelosi hits the market by like 4%. Marjorie Taylor Greene fucks the market.
Really?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is the insider trader poster child.
Yes.
Now. Pelosi gets all the press because amongst conservative, her name has
been going so long.
But her insider trading is not actually the cream of the crop. For that, you want to look at old school Hillary Clinton, maybe a little Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like these are the people who really
$700,000 into like 12 or 15 mil or something, right? Like
it was 400,000 into 20 million over like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
they have to make that shit illegal for those people.
So, but they are making products that you can buy that mirror their trades. There's a catch though. It depends on the trades that are public that they know about and the accounts and whatever, and there's a delay. So like you've seen clearly the Trump administration is doing market pump and dumps. Oh, there's no tariffs. And then they'll do all their shorts and shit. And tariffs are on. They'll cash it out, do the same thing. The problem is the delay is so significant that if you were to try to mimic her investments, you would get completely fucked.
You're too far behind.
Yeah. You know who I want to find? I want to find whatever fucking loser in Congress is like not making money. like the one who's like they can't even wheel
Bernie
and deal
Sanders.
correctly.
Bernie Sanders and Dennis Kucinich.
Let's see.
He's still in Congress.
Ro Khanna.
Am I thinking of the wrong guy?
He was popular as like a Democratic protest candidate about the same time Ron Paul was. He was sort of the anti Ron Paul.
Yeah,
guy,
right?
Yeah, they actually talked about running together because while they agreed about nothing, they were both very passionate about helping people.
Who's Kathy Manning? 56% return. Kathy Manning, Democrat in North Carolina. Dude, you got to follow this lady.
We got Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania has a 53.9% return, and that's just on what we know about.
That dash there, that it's not negative, is it? We're looking at a chat. It says negative 53.9. Am I meant to ignore the dash?
I gotta say, there's no way if you can inside trade, you go negative 50%.
There's no way. You'd have to be doing it on purpose.
In 4 years, this will be over, despite what the hats say. And you're going to have a career after that. And people are going to have a real long memory about. So I look at Marco Rubio, and I'm like, dude, you could have been president. You could have been vice president. Like I thought highly of you, and you're just sitting there nodding along to some of this shit. And it's like, dude, why are you co-signing everything? Why shouldn't you just be somewhere hiding from the cameras so you can distance yourself from what he just said later on?
If anything, I would think this is going to help someone like Rubio.
He's part of it. He's right there in the middle
that's
of
what
this mess.
I'm saying.
He will be blamed for this the same way that vice president,
but
attack
he's going
Kamala
to
on
glom,
Biden's. failures. They're
Trump
going to attack
supporters.
anyone who's attached to this administration. Is going nowhere in the future politically because
I've agreed with
they'll
that.
wear him around their neck like an albatross.
Totally,
like
I think that's a misread.
Now, and I haven't been right.
We're not done yet. We're just getting started. 4 more years.
Yeah,
look,
I'm saying I think that's a misread. I think that people like Rubio were floundering, and then they got on board with Trump, and that he is giving him some of his supporters. Some people who otherwise wouldn't have liked Rubio are going to like him more now. Time will tell, but that seems more realistic to me because, like, as much as the like a ton of people really, really like Trump and what he's doing, regardless of what is happening.
Wait till Christmas. Wait till Christmas.
For
that's what I'm waiting on.
Is old Saint Nick going to come shut down?
Saint Nick ain't coming. That's the thing.
What?
4th of July might not be coming. Like most of our fireworks. Did you hear his quote
today about dolls? He's like, yeah, the tariffs are going to be bad. Maybe now the kid will have $2 instead of $30.
And the 2 will cost a little bit more.
Cost more. That's the other half of the quote.
And then China seems like they are. I keep seeing. Look at all these factories they're closing in China. They didn't bulldoze them, did they? Open them right up after they're done fucking us over when they win this thing. They're
already making trade agreements with other countries.
You think China's going to win the long-term trade war?
They already won.
I think they're winning right now.
We already beefed it.
They wouldn't come to him. He's had to go crawling to them.
Yeah,
he's
Trump blinked.
You come to me when you're ready to talk.
It did seem like Trump blinked on
some
shit.
Trump pretty much annihilated any chance we had of AI dominance. That's going to be sort of the war of the future. Biden, I'm probably not the most popular person here in this chat. The CHIPS Act and securing like chips for the US and AI dominance for the future and building advanced manufacturing facilities like Taiwan here. That's all fantastic for our future and like limiting exports and stuff. Trump said, oh, it's a Biden thing. Fuck that. Smashed all of that. So if China isn't already ahead of us in AI now, they will be very soon. And to me, that's deeply frightening because whatever country is the first to invent a superintelligence is the sole superpower on the planet.
What would constitute a superintelligence?
Something smarter than
us. Yeah, something I would say like 1,000 times smarter than a person, an intelligence that could manipulate people on a massive scale, that could solve the stock market like it was a simple equation, a thing that you could ask a question and it could answer almost anything. You could like, how do we do nuclear fusion? And the superintelligence will like, give me 5 minutes to run this through my course. Here it is.
So it's something that can, unlike any AI we have now, which is really just an if this, then this thing, it would be like coming up with new knowledge.
Yes, the superintelligence is the goal, both of American companies like ChatGPT, but also Chinese ones.
Are they trying to make it sentient, do you think? Do you think that that's someone's goal, just to wake it up? Just to,
maybe
just
a scientist for funsies, but no, the corporations have interest in making money. They want to own knowledge. They want to own communication. AI is going to be search results in the future. Instead of searching for things, you'll talk to your AI companion and nonsense like that. I'm going full Black Mirror. I know.